You're waiting. Should be good. Okay. So this is the Shadow game. I'm Phil. Most people know me. I'm Foolishness. I will not say who my Shadow partner is, and I will not show anything about my role PM just in case. But I am Town this game, and I'm going to be streaming everything that I think, say, or do, and explain what is going on in my head. So, very first thing that's going on here is one, I got the role PM and it said that I was Town. So, first off, the first thing you want to do is think about what your plan is for the game. Now, I say plan, that could mean anything from some way of behavior you want to do to some goal you want to accomplish for your game. So, since this is a teaching game sort of thing, I'm just going to make my plan very simple, in that I'm going to be a clear and concise poster and find Mafia and bring information to the thread. And that is all my plan is. Since you know who I am, you probably know that I have done very crazy plans in the past involving posting in limericks and inventing my own Mafia teams and such. But for this game, I will just keep it simple. It is very important that when you are playing that you think of a plan. This applies to any form of Mafia, not just forum Mafia, but also live Mafia. So for my plan for Town, I'm going to be clear and concise, I'm going to do analysis, and I will post in the thread and find Mafia. Now, something like that sounds very simple. Like you say, what, Phil, shouldn't you be doing that every game, no matter what role you are? And yes and no, because there are different ways you could go about doing, accomplishing your objectives. And there's different methods of doing that as Town and as Mafia. And so what you want to do is you want to get into the mindset of whatever you want to accomplish, and that'll help you. And that will be portrayed when you start talking, speaking, and or posting, depending on what kind of Mafia you are playing. Okay, so I have no idea what this game is about. I've never read the OP, so this is my first time reading the OP. Okay, so our setup is 11 players. We have 8 VT and 3 Mafia. So that's a pretty easy setup. Town has 3 miss lynches until they lose, and Town must lynch on every day, otherwise they will lose a lynch. You can count that to figure that out. I definitely recommend doing so. I have ways of figuring that out on my own, so I know that that's going on. Okay. So we are going to look at the players list now. So what I like to do before the game starts is look at the player list and try to think about who these players are and what I expect from them during the game. So what I'm going to do here is just go through each of the players and talk a little bit about them, about their play style and what to expect. This first guy, he's really bad at the game. He's probably getting lynched day 1. Don't need to worry about him. Don't trust him at all. Second guy, Marvelocity. He's a very good player as Town. And as Mafia, he's always an active thread poster and posting a lot in the game. And so I expect him to be posting a lot in the game. And he's also very good at bullying people, similar to Matthew, in that if he wants information, he will hammer you until he gets it out. And so please note that I'm doing this I'm sort of thinking about what the players in the game are and what they are going to do. You could do this in all forms of Mafia, especially live Mafia, where you're playing with the same people. It's just, what do you expect from these players? Do you expect them to provide good analysis? Do you expect them to bully people? Do you expect them to be quiet for most of the game until they really need to talk? Because if they start breaking these expectations, this is where you want to start looking, and who you want to start thinking about when you first start trying to find Mafia. Second guy, Promethalax. I don't know much about him. The only game I played with him, he was trying to be me, because it was Personality Mafia. I think he's like more of a quiet poster, but don't really know much about him. Austin MC is more of a quiet poster too. I don't know much about him either. Sandroba, he is originally my student. I started teaching him when he first started playing Mafia. He's usually more of an active thread presence. He doesn't make long posts, but likes to bully people and find out information. Visera Eyes, he was in the Game of Champions, the second game, where he got lynched as Town because he does silly things. And he is a very active thread poster. He has played more games on TL Mafia than anybody else, so I expect good things from him. Kidman likes to write long posts. He's an analyzer, and so I expect him to come out with good analysis. If he doesn't, or his analysis is bad, he's probably Mafia. Holy Flare, don't know much about him. Don't think I've ever played in a game with him. Hoppa Holly, don't know much about him other than he plays Dota 2 a lot. Gonza is an active thread poster. I expect him to post a lot. Wave of Shadow is not an active thread poster, so I don't expect him to be posting a lot. Keep in mind, there are people here in this chat with me. If you want to ask me questions, please ask me questions, because I will ramble and talk forever about Mafia, and I'll probably start talking about things not related to this game, but are still related to Mafia. So please just, interrupt me and ask me, why am I doing this? Why am I not doing this? Okay.
I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
So, when you go into this game, who are your priority targets, or do you not have any, in terms of reading them for their alignment?
For reading the alignment, my priority are Marvelocity, Sandroba, and Kidman, because those are the people I think can provide the most value to the town if they are a town. So those will be the people I'm looking out for.
Is this just because those are people you're most experienced with, or otherwise?
Yes.
They're also probably the strongest players other than Wave of Shadow, but Wave of Shadow doesn't post a lot.
Yes. So mostly it's because I'm familiar with them. And same with Live Mafia too. I defer to the people I'm familiar with, because if I could read them as town right away, then I know I could trust them and I could work with them. Likely if I'm Mafia, if I was Mafia in this game, people I'm shooting first are myself, well not really, but you know what I mean, Marvelocity and probably Sandroba would be the people well, maybe not Marvelocity, it depends on how right he is about the Mafia team. Because lots of times Marvelocity's town, but he doesn't get shot because he's wrong. Yes.
Pointing out you actually talked a little bit more in depth about Kidman than everybody else. In particular, you talked about how he's an analytical poster.
Yes.
And because of that, that means that if you were to read his post and his logic doesn't make sense, then that's one of the tells, I would assume then, yes?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm just kind of going off, usually the more analytical people who, bring up, good logic that they've thought about for a while, if there's something wrong with their logic, it doesn't quite fit together, usually that means they're Mafia, because they're trying to find good logic, but since they already know what the answer is in their head, it's a lot harder for them to process something. I think some people have said that about me in Daily Mafia or Esports Mafia, is that they can read me Mafia, where if my logic doesn't make sense, or if they don't agree with me.
I wonder who said that.
Well, it's funny, the same person who said it, I could say the same about them, so,
Who are the people that you're most scared of as Mafia?
For being Mafia?
As if they were Mafia, you'd be scared of them.
Marvin Sand.
Yeah, Marvelocity and Sandroba definitely, because they are good fake town leaders, in that if they are Mafia and they could get half the town to agree with them, they will just roll through the game and never get lynched for it. So they will just lead the town down the wrong track, and there will be no coming back from that. And then, so, this is probably I expect this to be a somewhat quiet game, I guess, in terms of what usually happens on Team Liquid these days. But, I mean, there's lots of, active posters here. And so, if the game is more quiet, then, someone like Kidman or Wave of Shadow, if they're Mafia, they could really mislead the town by just, arguing for a bad lynch and just getting bad lynches happened. Okay. So, during the game... Yes.
You might want to describe the differences between forum mafia and video mafia, since on forum mafia it's flips and stuff. So.
Oh yes, that's right. So on these forum games, there will be role reveal upon death. So after someone is lynched or died during the night, their role and alignment will be revealed. There are no roles in this game. It's just 8 Vanilla Town and 3 Mafia. But you will get to know if you are right or wrong. So that's very important, especially after the fact it happens. If someone died in their town, you could go back and look at what they said, look at who pushed for their lynch and such. Likewise, if someone is Mafia, you could look at who distracted from their lynch. We will be doing that on later days, assuming I'm still alive then. Also for this game, I'm going to try to post as much as I can on subsequent days. I'm used to dying early a lot, and since this is a teaching game, I will try to do analysis early and often, and so forth. Okay, so this is the day 1 post. I have not read the thread, so I have no idea what's going on. You could see that the day post is in limericks. That was originally my idea, because I'm awesome. So during the game, I like to take...
Since that interrupted you, question.
Yes.
Do you take any value into any posting done before the first day post?
Nope, I don't, because it's before the game. Nobody knows what their role or alignment is. At least you should assume they don't. And I feel it's kind of distracting, because you might get the wrong impression from someone if they're spamming a lot in the pregame, and then you go into the game, and then they're not spamming. You might be in to think oh, this is abnormal behavior for them, when really it probably doesn't say anything. So, hello, gentlemen. So for the game, I like to take notes for Forum Mafia. I do not do this in Live Mafia. I keep everything in my head. But for Forum Mafia, a lot can happen, and that's bad. So what you want to do is take notes. What I do is I just make a Word document, and I have everybody listed except myself, because I know what role I am. And basically, if something interesting happens, I will just mark it down, like such as a bad post where he calls out Austin. If that happened, I would mark it here just to remember it for later, and it keeps it handy for looking back on subsequent days when you want to start to figure out who's Mafia and why. So this is just how I do notes. I don't take a lot of notes. There are people who will take notes and write paragraphs upon paragraphs about everything they are thinking, and that is fine. Like, people take notes in different ways or form. And same with Live Mafia on webcam. People on Daily Mafia and Esports Mafia will take notes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever works best for you is perfectly fine. So I'm just doing this the way I do it. If you want to take a lot of notes, then feel free to do so. I just write down key points because I'll remember most of the other things. Likewise, I'm also used to taking notes because TL has this convenient filter button where you can find every post the same person made. In the olden days, that button did not exist, and so I would write down post numbers so I could come back and find stuff. But right now, it's easy to remember easy to find posts that someone made. Okay, hello gentlemen. That's whatever, doesn't mean anything. Okay, so this looks interesting. Gonza's filter starts here. Gonza's, please announce. Alright, so initially I think this guy is Town. I don't think that... Gonza is someone who I expect to post a lot. I don't expect him... I've never seen him do anything trolly though. Usually he's a serious player. This is abnormal for me to see. Although, keep in mind, I don't play Forum Mafia very much anymore. But just initially, I think this is Town. But the follow-up posts will definitely show that later on. I think that because I don't think a Mafia would put this much effort and plan for this beforehand. Let's see, this was made 18 minutes after the day started. And if he planned to do this, that's good for him.
This is an interesting thing that Storage just brought up. He actually posted in pregame something that threw Town off. He made a big post about Marv and voted for him using quotes from another game. So it's kind of weird to me that he's posting here, that his filter starts here.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I mean, he might be saying this because he was posting a lot in pregame. Want people to make sure that nobody's looking at that. But I mean, this seems like kind of fun. It doesn't seem like he's doing it to try to push an agenda. It looks like he's having fun. And if someone's having fun, they're probably Town.
Are you allowed to do any sort of post like that?
You can post whatever you want.
Yeah.
You just can't use blue text, which is the mod.
Yeah, you're not supposed to use color fonts. I usually do anyways. I ignore that rule. As long as you don't overuse it, I think hosts don't care. But yeah, really, you could post anything, and people make really bizarre posts. One person in particular, Chesinu, who is not in this game, unfortunately. But he makes some... Yeah, I know. I'm sad, too.
This sounds like my post style, or some fun is key.
Sure. It's definitely okay to do stuff like this. Just make sure that you have a reason for doing so. You should always have a reason for making these posts. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess maybe sort of an initial, that's what you said. It's the way you saw this was an initial contact, having fun. That's
yeah.
Cool.
Initial troll post. Might be important for later on. And he posts again a few minutes later, 9 minutes later. I might have gone this game. Nope. Playing with Town Foolishness happened in Aperture Mafia. That already did happen. Okay, so that's kind of weird, but I assume he just forgot. So I was Town in a game when I was posting in Limericks, and I caught a lot of Mafia. And he was Town as well.
Humble brag.
Gotta be confident, yo. If you believe in yourself to win, you will win. If you don't, you might not. Alright, so this is more of the same kind of troll. I am slightly bothered by this because it has already happened. If it hadn't happened, it would be whatever. But I will assume he forgot because it was a year and a half ago. So I won't take much stock in it. So this is more of the same kind of trolley behavior. So I'm still fine with this. I still think he's town for now. If this kind of attitude keeps up, then you know that he might be Mafia. So the thing with people who like post like this, who are have that kind of trolley attitude, or in live games who are just kind of like making the town laugh and just like giving jokes, is that it's all right. But if they keep doing it and they don't actually give anything of contribution, then they're probably Mafia. You know, in Daily Mafia, Joey does that sometimes as Mafia. More troll. Velocity, nothing. So that's kind of weird coming from our Velocity because he knows better than that. How do you start an all vanilla game anyways? But okay. I assume he's just trying to start conversation. Yeah, okay. Okay. So that's kind of confusing.
That's really weird because he says basically he's just throwing out his plan for the game instead of waiting for them to actually just do it.
Well, it's kind of ironic because it is his first post too.
That's true.
Thing is, like, for Mafia, it's really hard to make a first post in the game, especially when there's active contribution. So lots of times you could find Mafia just by looking at someone's first post. Thing is, if there's town talking about something, like about the setup, about who they think is Mafia, it's really hard for Mafia to insert themselves into conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Starting at the beginning of the game and just, like, posting stuff like this doesn't mean anything, or, like, something like this. Anyone can say that as any alignment. It doesn't really mean anything. But something like this is a little odd. I'm going to remember that for later.
Is that something you'd recommend, even as like a Mafia, or if you were playing as Mafia, sort of just like a very nonchalant, neutral post that could really show either alignment?
Yes, especially like at the start of the game. One thing I like to do as Mafia is just at the start of the game, like come in and post something like this. Just something easy, because it gets yourself established in the thread. I've gotten into trouble before where like I waited 12 to 24 hours into the game before I posted as Mafia, and it was really hard to make that first post. And like people called me out for it, and it was not good. Like,
So you-
yes.
Why
Explain a little.
Sandroba over Marv for a weird first post?
I mean, so this looks like he's generating conversation with this, right? Like, he's getting other people to talk by asking this question. Like, I know he knows better. We all know he knows better. Like, this guy has played a lot of games. He played in the Game of Champions game, too. So, like, it's definitely a dumb post, but, like, he's starting something. So I'm not really that suspicious of it. I'll definitely remember it for later. If I'm making a case against him, I'll probably call him out on it just to see what he says.
And I think it definitely like forces people. Well, it doesn't force anybody, but it gives people the opportunity to say something about it. For example, if Sandrova is actually scum, like I don't know, that's kind of an easy way to find somebody.
Mm-hmm. So the thing is, like, you could right. So like what you're trying to get at, I think, is like you could respond to this post, like you could say something about it, right? With this, what do you say to this? Like, how do you respond to that? Like, LOL? I mean, I guess so. Because it is his first post, right?
Top well.
Alright, so we made a note of that. Lynch all liars, easy games. Okay, so like what he's doing here is just like trying to start conversation by voting for someone. Could mean anything. Doesn't really say much. So someone else looks like he's doing what I expected, or what I was thinking as well. So I mean, this could be like a meta thing. Keep in mind, this is his first post as well. So this could be town, it could be Mafia. I don't really think it says anything, but at least not now. Gonza pieced from the thread strangely after making his troll post, so I assume we won't hear from him again. But keep him in mind if he does come back and is just trolling all day long. That's someone to pressure.
Wasn't his third post saying he was like going to some match or something like that?
Yeah, his third post said he was leaving, and that we should tell his secretary if we wanted to talk to him. Normally, even early game trolls. Okay, so I read this town. He's.
Yep.
Yep. So Kidman here, like, this kind of makes sense to me as town perspective. Also kind of makes sense to me from a Mafia perspective, too. I don't think this says anything about Kidman's alignment either way. At least not for now. But this post reads pretty town for me. So we'll wait to see if Kidman responds to that, to see if this generates more information. That's Visera Eyes, just tossing the vote back on him, doesn't mean anything yet. So this is kind of questionable post. Do you think I'm trying to paint Sandroba in a bad light using my scummy thought process like you mentioned? Or do you think that was a random thought? So one thing to note about this point is that all his sentences are questions. That is something that's more indicative of Mafia. Mafia like to ask questions instead of answering them. And even when they're giving their reads, they want to say statements of facts. If you are a town, usually when you're posting a read, you say, "This is what I'm doing, and this is why." Mafia asks questions.
Mafia love to fall back on the "I was pushing conversation. I was pushing, town things."
Right, that's very true. By asking a question, he's kind of like he may or may not be Mafia. I don't think it's indicative, but just something to keep in mind that when you're asking a question, you're not really taking a stance one way or the other. Let's go back and read this. I still read this pretty town by the way he's just saying you're calling his actions dumb than voting for him, and that's a pretty scummy thought process. I disagree with what he's saying, but I think this is very town-oriented post. Because he's looking at this and he's just kind of like, what the hell is this about? It's made 8 minutes after, so yeah, it's unlikely he thought about this post. It's just like he looked at it, typed it out, and said town.
He looks like he's actively trying to figure out the game.
That's right. Question taco is my way of saying he asks a lot of questions. That's a really bad first line.
That's what he does every game.
Does he?
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. It's still a bad. Wait, does he say this whole thing or just the first line?
The entire thing. Well, he doesn't. It's like differently worded, but he usually just opens every single game like, "Hey guys, I'm actually town. Of course, I'm happy for this. Blah blah blah." He does that every game.
Because I mean, specific wording is very key to.
I always use well.
It's because you're scum.
That's how you always recognize me.
What specifically is?
So one thing I don't like this post is that he emphasizes that he's not scum twice. I don't know why he'd be doing that. He's trying to overcompensate. Could be.
Do you look into people's writing styles like pretty heavily?
Yes and no. I wouldn't say heavily, but you still look into it. So like later on when we do analysis and like we'll compare behavior to past games, then you're kind of looking at that stuff indirectly of just like how they word things and like what kind of statements they make. And so that stuff can be very important because like that comes out subconsciously in your writing, or in Live Mafia it comes out in your speech. And if you can pick up on that stuff, it's very indicative. So another thing I don't like about it is that this post is essentially meaningless. It doesn't say anything. Even if he says this every game, it's just like, okay. He's relieved to roll town. I am too. Not really, but okay. I'd be terrified to go up against this town of scum. Sure. Could be terrified in any of the games. One of these days I will have another scum game. Like, this is useless line, right? It doesn't feel like he's trying hard to make this post, but like, this is useless, doesn't help the town, doesn't help the town. This kind of helps the town, but not really. This doesn't help the town, let's do something. Very frequently, lots of times you see Mafia, this happens in live Mafia as well, they'll try to say like something about the status of the town without actually trying to fix it. Like, in 4 Mafia, this happens a lot where someone will be like, this town is going in the wrong direction, you know, we're definitely doing really bad and we're not organized. Except they'll say that stuff, and it's true, and you think, oh, it's true, so they must be town, when in fact, like, that's an easy thing to say. And they don't do anything to try to move it in that direction. Live Mafia, yes.
Is the fact that he's calling out Holy Flare specifically of any importance?
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, he says they've played in voice games together, right? So it's probably someone he trusts, like he's used to playing with him. So, like, if he's town, he could just be thinking, like, I need Holy Flare here, because if he's town, I could read him well, and then we could just own up this game, right? Essentially what I'm thinking with, like, Marvelocity and Kidman and Sandrover. It's just, like, if we know we're town, we could just, like, pair up and just, like, go to town on people.
I think he's the only player he hasn't played with.
Oh, what was that? The only player?
I think it's the only player he hasn't played with.
Mm-hmm.
Sick pun, Miller.
Nice. This sentence here reads town to me, but overall kind of neutral. It's unusual he's calling out this guy and only quoted part of his post, but okay.
He doesn't really respond to anything. Why did he even quote that post?
Well, he wants to get the Sandroba votes going. It kind of reads town because he's actively being like, yo, let's lynch Sandroba.
Well, he also, like, the way I look at it is he's trying to justify himself as, you know, I'm also town, right? I was kind of hoping to roll Mafia, but it's like, I'm really, like, the fact that he's talking about, like, the way I looked at it is, like, he's talking about his emotions in the Wave of Shadow post, and he's like, you know, I'm sad that I didn't get Mafia this time. That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is, like, a neutral sentence, right? But, like, this combined is not neutral. It's leaning Mafia, because you keep emphasizing, like, oh, I'm not Mafia, I'm not Mafia. Guys, I swear I'm not Mafia. I'm not Mafia.
I'm not Mafia.
You are not Mafia. Nope.
Why?
By the way, I'm not Mafia, guys.
So if Isera and Hapahale are still voting for each other...
Just to add, Phil, I think that sometimes it's hard to determine, like, town that feel they need to post something, so sometimes they'll post, like, crappy filler stuff, which Mafia will post kind of on purpose as filler stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People that are nervous about posting, even as town, because, like, they're either intimidated or new or just don't talk a lot. Like, it's sometimes hard to tell what the hell they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. So this guy's defending...
What's
Yes.
the game time in right now?
What's the game time? The game started 6.5 hours ago.
Well, I meant, like, with the current post you're looking at, like, an hour in, or...
It's got to be an hour and a half-ish. At most an hour and a half.
10:51.
If I was keeping up properly.
So that's like 3 hours after.
Okay.
If you're not posting, like, immediately after, does that tend to be proved? Like, say you forgot, you know, does that tend to be, like, a hindrance to you?
Forgot that the game started?
Yeah, or, like, you didn't get a notification, or
You mean as town?
Either or.
Well, like, you get the roll PM, so, like, check your PM inbox. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
there's your roll. So you should know. Those get sent out when the game starts, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, more so what I was talking about, or what I was going to be leading into is, you know, as Phil stated earlier, it's a lot easier to kind of, like, get in with an easy post, like, sooner in the game, and that he's been caught if he has posted 24 hours afterwards, because 24 hours into a game, you should already be forming your own opinions, you should already be doing stuff, I guess. And I guess the longer the game goes in, the more posts that happen. So that when you first make your first post, sometimes you can catch people that way.
Mhm.
So I was wondering what time it was in game, so to start looking for, have we kind of crossed that moment where the longer posts start to get fishy, I guess, or not necessarily longer posts, but
Not necessarily. I mean, you could still catch it out. Like, this is kind of suspicious, right? Maybe he's Mafia, maybe he's not. Time will tell. But, like, but as you're saying, like, 12 hours or 24 hours into the game, what happens is, like, town's already talking about who they want to lynch and what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't said anything, like, to come in as Mafia, like, bring in new information that doesn't look weird or, like, go against someone and, like, hard defend someone or say, no, they're Mafia, we should lynch them, that's hard to do. At the beginning of the game, when people are just like, you know, like, LOL, I thought Kiddo was trolling, you know. Easy to just insert yourself in, and that makes it easier to post in the future.
What do you think the best start for town is? Is it like policy discussion or votes or what they're doing here? Which is, I guess, votes.
It depends on what you want to accomplish and what your style is. I like to just, like, I like to start scum hunting, so something like this is, like, best first post to me. Like, this is, if I was posting, I probably would have done something like this. Just start something. In games where there's, like, lots of roles running around, like, you could talk about, like, what you want to do with the roles. Just, like, optimal play of just, like, you know, we have these kind of roles, this is what they should be doing. Like, if you have to elect a mayor or what have you, then you could talk about, you know, who you want to be electing and what you want to get accomplished with that. That's all fine, too. It really depends on your style. So I like to just scum hunt, so I hunt scum, and the setup is kind of, you know, second to that in my priority list. And for this game, my plan is to be clear and concise and to hunt Mafia. So
Sorry, what's this mayor thing? Sorry.
so in some games, there's a role called a mayor. What happens is on day one, instead of voting to kill someone, you vote someone to elect as mayor. And usually the person who you elect as mayor gets some, like, benefits. Benefits being, like, night immunity to kills, or, like, they'll get DT checks, or they'll get extra votes at lunchtime. Essentially,
Is that by mod case or?
no, the town votes for the mayor.
the town votes for the mayor.
No, or the the special ability, is that predetermined?
It depends.
Yeah.
Usually it's extra votes and night immunity. So if you're a town, you want to elect someone who you think is going to steamroll through the town and just, like, lead the town to victory. You know, someone like Matthew or Marvelocity.
Sometimes they get to pick the first lunch too.
Right. And sometimes the person who elects mayor gets to pick someone to kill immediately as well.
Should do that, and
How is that determined?
It's by votes. So instead of voting for someone...
the special ability. Is that pre-found or is like a
There's
role?
no
or?
set mayor role for, like, what the mayor does. It's kind of
Okay.
like... Usually you
Mod
decide the
discretion.
first lynch, you get extra votes, and you get night immunity.
So it's just mod discretion essentially.
Yeah, it's game to game.
Game to
Okay.
game. Right.
and you would know about it beforehand. It's not like they get some secret power.
Yeah, suddenly kill 5 people.
Yeah. It would say in the...
Exactly, got it. Cool.
Yeah. No Matthew type roles. No, none of that.
I want to kill everybody.
It would be interesting
I have a question for you, real quick.
Yes.
So I think I know the answer to it, but do you go in assuming everyone is guilty until they prove themselves innocent, or innocent until they prove themselves guilty? But I think you go in completely neutral on them. Is that what you do?
I go in neutral.
Mhm.
Though I guess I would lead more guilty until proven innocent. Because when I play Mafia, I'm kind of a little more selfish player in that, well, if I kill everyone else, then I win the game, right? So I just got to kill
It's
everyone
the best mindset.
Yep, 'cause then
that's
you actually
debatable,
pass
that's
votes.
debatable.
You pass votes though.
It makes it harder when you actually roll Mafia, though, because when you're Mafia, you're automatically assuming everybody's town because you know that. So-
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, too. When you're Mafia, you know who's town or not. And you got to try to not think about that so much, because that comes out in your posting. Or in your speech.
So I guess quick update. How many people have yet to post now?
Holy
Me,
Flare
Holy
hasn't
Flare,
posted. Promethalax.
Promethalax. That's
Promethalax and yourself then, right?
Yep,
Yep.
that's correct.
Okay.
And I don't
it
think
seems
Marvelocity has posted anything of actual value.
That's correct. Marvelosity
Well-
posted once or twice, hasn't said anything.
Okay, but it's a couple hours in, so if you see Holy Flare's post, you might be able to analyze it if it's a bit longer.
Yes, we are. We are nearing that point. That's correct. So this is Wave of Shadow defending Sandroba. I don't really read too much into this. I mean, he kind of brings up a point. So we'll see what happens with that. Still suspicious of him on his first post, so just keep that in mind.
In one of the games I played, that was actually like one of the big discussion starters. Was somebody defended actually me specifically, and a bunch of people jumped on him for defending me, even though I didn't really do anything scummy. I was town that game, and a bunch of people jumped onto it as if it was like really scummy for him to defend me, even though there wasn't anything. There wasn't anything of value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did he turn out to be scummy?
If I remember correctly, no.
Okay.
I think it was. No, never mind.
I mean, it doesn't say anything. I mean, in a perfect world, he's defending his scum teammate, right? That's probably not true. But, like, this could be his actual thoughts of just like, yo, why are we killing this guy? He's a good player. Like, chill out, dude. So.
That a bit like rude to say in this kind of setup. Like, isn't everybody? Well, at least in the Shadow game, like that you guys are doing, everybody that's I guess in your position should be a quote unquote good player.
Yes, definitely true.
But they're not.
Shots fired.
If someone brings attention to that fact, that's usually very suspicious. One way to catch new players a lot is they emphasize that they are new, just being like, when they get accused, they're like, oh, well, I'm a new player, or I'm a new player, so don't expect anything from me. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm slipped, I'm a new player, right? Someone
Lynch bait.
What?
Or you can use it as lynch bait.
Only for you. Only you, sorcerer. But so,
Hey,
yeah.
worked on BC and worked on Macosta, I think. So
Oxta. Yeah.
Costa.
Awesome.
Ox is an animal.
So I think the same thing kind of applies in this game. If someone is emphasizing like, oh, everyone here is good. Everyone here is good. If they're emphasizing that without like a need to emphasize it, then that's suspicious.
It's
Same
like
with
the
the
opposite
newbie.
of the
If
new
they're
card.
if they're emphasizing that they're a new player and there's no need to, then it's suspicious. No one said anything with regards to that though. Like he didn't.
Okay.
Like he didn't even like say that we're all good players. He's just like respect Sandrova. So.
But in the same sense, that post in regards to respect Sandrova, if they're mafia together, it's a light way to defend him.
It is, yes. But he could also, this could be a mafia defending a town or a town defending a mafia. It could go both ways. I said in a perfect world, this is a mafia defending a mafia, right? That's very unlikely. Like, mafia don't talk about their mafia members day one. Like, almost never. But you say it's a random thoughtless vote, so alas. Wait, where did he say that? So he said, Kinnaman said it was a random thoughtless vote, which I don't think he did.
I mean, he quoted his post, didn't he?
Oh, I think he's, okay, yeah, I misread what he's saying. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's still suspicious he's talking in questions, but it's fine. So he's just wondering... Shit. That's whatever, doesn't say anything. So if you notice, like, lots of posts I'm just kind of skipping over, it's just like, that's whatever, it doesn't really say anything, right? So it's just like, you don't want to read too much into stuff. I'm just looking for people I think are scum, Wave of Shadow is suspicious, and Sandrova is suspicious. So I'm looking how that plays out. This could be anything, so, you know, don't worry about it for now, come back to it later. That's a strange question to ask. Though I could just be confirmation biasing myself. Because I think he's Mafia. So the reason this is a strange question to ask is because it doesn't accomplish anything. Like, what is he trying to get out of Happa? Do you see yourself getting shot one night this game? What answer would you expect from that? Either Happa says yes because I'm awesome, or no because there's better people than me in this game. So I don't really know, like, what is Wave of Shadow trying to accomplish by asking this question? I don't know.
Well, the first thing you would think of as Mafia is obviously not because I'm Mafia. So it's not really something that you can read into, though.
That's true.
Do you think you have enough posts by Wave of Shadow to like look at some of his other openings and compare them?
Yeah, definitely. Really, all you need is one post, and you could start comparing that.
Yeah, but I mean to get an actual like solid.
Yeah, definitely.
Couldn't he be trying to get just Happa to talk though?
He could be, yes. So,
like,
but this is a strange question to
That's
ask.
such a weird question. Yeah.
Like, why not ask, why don't you vote for Sandrover? Or why don't you vote for someone else? That's like what a town's asking.
Maybe he's got a scum read. I mean, I don't know.
It's possible, like he has a scum read, but
sort of, yeah, just trying to think of like how other people like or how they might have been
right. Like if you're a town, what do you ask other people day one? It's just like, do you want to kill this guy? Hey, let's kill this guy. What do you think? It's just like, are you town? But do you see yourself getting shot in night one? That's a strange thing to ask. How many times have you heard someone ask that?
Everyone asked me if I'm gonna get night zeroed.
You're either medic saved or dead, or you're Mafia.
It was true today.
So I'm gonna write this down. So the reason I'm writing this down and taking note of this is this is an indirect defense of Sandroba. Say, like, Kidda is voting him as a joke. I don't think Kidda's doing it as a joke. I think Kidda's doing it because he thinks he's Mafia. That's just an initial read, though. And so he's actually, this is like soft deflection, I guess. The word people like to use. I don't like using that word, but that's essentially what that is. So
I mean, but isn't it pretty clearly not a joke? Like he's trying to read into it pretty hard. He asks a bunch of questions.
I think, well, he's just trying to read more into the joke than, like, say, the actual seriousness of the claim. You know, trying to see why they might be playing that card. Maybe they played with some of them. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of, like, why people ask certain questions, trying to get into their head.
Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely a good thing to think about. With every post, you want to be like, why did this person post it, and what are they trying to do with it? Like, that's why I was looking at this. It's just like, why would you post this, and what are you trying to do with that? To me, this reads as like, oh, I want to try to make it look like I'm doing something, even though I'm not.
He did say he thought it was trolling, like in the previous post too.
Who did?
I don't know if you haven't. Viscera, if you scroll up, he says he thought Kidda was trolling. In response to Audits Austin MC's post.
Oh, yes. Okay. So maybe that's not. So I'll keep the note down just in case. Could be town, could be Mafia. Doesn't really say anything. Okay, so now Kidda's coming in with the hard defense. So I kind of like that from Kiddaman. You see towns do this a lot. I notice it because I actually do this a lot, where I come in and vote someone and I'm kind of trolly, and then I come out and just be like, no, I'm actually dead serious about it. I was actually kind of planning to do that this game, but oh well. I'll do it later. Right, it's obvious answer.
Wait, was that Wave of Shadow who said that joke at the end of the last page? Okay.
That's Viscera Eyes.
Yeah.
This is pretty normal Viscera Eyes. Post a lot.
Yeah.
Say somewhat trolly things. So that's his first post. So people are definitely reading too much into this. He feels like He feels like a confused townie, or at least like not reading between the lines. I'll read him as town for now. Okay, so this
there
post
we
is probably
go.
going to say something one way or another.
Is this his first post?
This is his first post, so yes.
Alrighty.
Meat and potatoes.
So my initial read is scum, and I haven't even read it.
Just because it's a big post.
Yeah, just because like there's lots here. We'll see. Depends how much he says. I
He
could
says
see-
nothing.
I
I've
can
already
see.
read it.
I haven't read it. I'm only here. But yeah, initially that's what I think too when I look at this. But I've never played with him before in a serious setting, so I don't know if this is normal behavior for him. We can figure that out soon, though. Strange thing to say.
Playing off people's egos.
This is such a weird post.
Oh, look at that. I like that part. Yes, you are.
He re-emphasizes the like, don't lurk. Even though you already said it.
Because that's all he can say.
So this post literally says nothing the entire post.
That's a very true statement.
No, he says he's scum.
That's true.
Literally, like not the figurative sense.
But how do you really feel?
I feel that is a very awful first post. I would definitely lynch him over this post. Probably more than I'd lynch Sandra over a Wave of Shadow. So as you said, this post says absolutely nothing. There should be no discussion of policy lynching lurkers. This game has 11 players. I doubt anyone will be lurking, especially since this is a Shadow game. So, why are you saying that? And why are you saying it again down here? I find this kind of attitude more indicative of Mafia. I'm not really sure why, but someone who, like, is asking for you to accuse them is usually Mafia. Because usually if
Guilty
you're...
conscience.
Yeah, that could be a way to describe it. Though I'm not really sure if that totally explains why they're doing it. But someone who, I see this in Live Mafia, you're just like, oh, you want to accuse me? Well, accuse me. It's just like, sure. Like, if someone's trying to bait you into accusing them, they're probably Mafia. It's this town, you don't want to bait someone into accusing you. Why do you want to get accused? Your town. You want to accuse other people.
I say guilty conscience because you're thinking from a Mafia perspective, so you're supposed to catch yourself, right? If you want to look towny.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Wait, what do you mean you're supposed to catch yourself?
So, like, if you were town, right, you want to catch the Mafia. And if you're Mafia, like, you're trying to play as if you're a town. So you're supposed to catch yourself, kind of. Which is why, like, guilty conscience things kind of gets said a lot. Like, I know, it looks scummy for this. And, like, do you think I'm scum? Or do you, like I agree with your reasoning for voting on me or something like that. Like,
Does that apply for like? If he
I
was
think a
actually
lot of
saying
people do that as both alignments, though. So, like, I just think that when people do it as scum, that's kind of where it comes out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Do you think that still applies if this was actually for something consequential? Like he was actually like calling somebody scum, and then he says, "I know that me calling him scum is scummy by me." Is that the same thing?
I don't think so, because if you're calling someone scum, you're doing something as a town or as a Mafia. Like, he's not doing anything with this post, and he even admits it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm scummy for posting this. It's just like, well, why would you post it then? Like, if you're a town, would you deliberately post something that's scummy? Probably not.
Well,
It's not.
We won't talk about Phil's past history in Mafia games here, so...
And the thing is, it's not. It's I think at least that the content of his post isn't necessarily scummy, but it's useless, right? And
right.
If he's pointing out that it is scummy, then that's weird.
Yeah, it definitely is weird. Because it's just like, why would you make it if you're a town? Right. And that's easy to get confused. Like, what's that?
and why make it so long?
It goes back to what I was saying before. He wants to insert himself into conversation and isn't sure how.
No, I know. No, I mean, like, that was a rhetorical question. Like, he made it really long so that he looks like he's, like, really actively participating.
So
really thinking about it or something, yeah.
there is this psychological thing where someone who is lying, they will tend to ramble and talk more because they're trying to convince you, and so they will keep talking to try to emphasize their point over and over again. So,
Okay.
I don't know, you can take that for what you will. Maybe it applies here, maybe it doesn't. But something to think
I mean,
about.
how could he be lying about this? Is this?
Well, I mean, he's lying in that, like, he's lying because he's Mafia, right?
Yeah.
And he's not Town. But yeah, I was going to say earlier, like, don't get confused. Like, there is, like, you said, like, it has content, right? And it does has content. Like, there should be no discussion of policy lynching lurkers. We simply lynch them. Like, in a sense, that is good content, because I'm sure everyone agrees with it. Like, I agree with it. But, like, everybody already knows that, so why do you say it?
I was about to say, yeah, because especially, like, he's like, well, you guys are all the best. But
Right,
here's
yeah,
some
it's just
rules
like,
that you guys need
we
to
already
follow.
know that. Why are you telling us that?
Yeah.
You
His
want to
next
tell us.
post.
But then the night that also thing, like I look at that and he's like playing off the egos of, you know, oh man, we are the best. Yeah, I know that. Well, in this game, am I right?
I mean,
Like,
for people like Viserys and Marvelosity, that would definitely work. I'll
Yeah.
admit to doing it.
gotta play off people's feeling good.
Yes, that's good. Okay.
That's weird.
Uh,
He's like
What?
admitting.
yeah, you're gonna love Wave. Sorry. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
She's with Mafia. Problem
Vettiest
solved.
vets in Fatland.
Hmm.
This is a good post.
Ugh.
Good job, Matthew. So I just read this post, and I looked up for a second, and I forgot what he said, which is usually a bad sign. It's just like, I remember Hapa Holly's post up here. He was asking Prom why he didn't say anything of value. Yep, that's what. But what did Wave of Shadow here? I don't remember what he said. So this is a pretty bad response in that it also just says absolutely nothing. Ask more questions, ask more questions, ask more questions, ask more questions, ask more questions. Oh, ask more questions. Doesn't provide any answers.
Is it wrong to ask questions though? Like,
No, it's
like
not.
Somebody like us who like may not be familiar with this group or like plays a lot of foreign Mafia.
No,
Like,
of course
I feel like
not.
I'd be asking a lot of questions to find out if other people have interactions with them beforehand.
Sure, but like there are questions you could ask that are accomplishing something, and questions that you could ask that don't accomplish anything, right?
Gotcha.
Like a good question to ask is just like, did someone do this in a past game? You know, that's accomplishing something because you're comparing past behavior. You know.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Does this post by Wave feel a little bit like teammates talking?
It could. I think that's being a little overzealous.
Isn't trying to
I
link
asked
people
because I
on.
feel like a lot of the questions that he asked, relatively easy answers to them.
That's an easy answer. That's a good point. So let's think about it. Discussion policy on its own, but why do you go about it so awkwardly? Yeah, easy question to answer.
See, for me, like the first line of like, I don't think locals will be an issue this game. Well, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for telling us something we already know. in our
Yeah,
policy.
like I mean, that's the whole point of playing foreign Mafia. Is like, I don't think there will be lurkers. I don't think you have the chance. Like we're in real life, or in live Mafia, you can technically get away with that.
Mhm.
You can get away with it in
Question.
Foreign Mafia too.
Yeah, so just because, so it could definitely be two Mafia members talking to each other. The reason I'm wary to say that is that, like, Mafia members almost never talk to each other on day one. You could see this in Forum and in Live Mafia, is that, like, you completely separate yourselves. You want to put yourself far away from them as possible.
Unless you're bussing.
Unless you're bussing, but nobody would be bussing in this game.
Except for you, Phil.
You really don't think so?
I'm just saying.
I
I
would not
think
bus in this game.
I
This
think
isn't even a
kinda-
bus. Like,
just at least like the way. Sorry, just going to more current like our live Mafia. I feel like busing seems to be like the next level of meta that's sort of happening right now.
You don't. Busing on day one is definitely not a thing you should almost
Well,
ever
not
do.
necessarily busing, but strongly getting more interaction on day one. Not necessarily busing. Sorry.
So yes, go Matthew.
Sorry, I was gonna say that busing in forum and busing in live or in like a video, at least in live Mafia, is like completely different because of flips. Busing in live Mafia where like there's no flips and like the only way to know is if like you reduce KP, which is also like they could double stack and all that shit, like is very risky for Mafia to do. And like unless there's a red check and like that kind of confirms it, or like Mortician or something, like you never really know if you actually lynched Mafia. So you can push wrong and still act like you lynched Mafia. Whereas in forum, like you know what they flip afterwards. So it's really easy to come from live to forum and see somebody push a mislynch and be like, ha, that person's obviously Mafia, but really they're just bad town. Or not even bad town, they're just misguided town. And so busing like can like gain you a ton of credibility in forum Mafia because your teammate will actually flip. And like, I don't know, I find that there's been a lot of games where I've seen people bust very early on to gain that credibility early on and then kind of use that to ride it out to the end.
Do you think it works out a lot?
I mean, I've bust my entire team on day one.
Sure.
So
won the
streaky
game.
I mean, I have too.
And won the game with that. So, I don't know. I think it's a viable strategy of busing at least one of them early on.
Well,
Busing
that brings me to my.
or tunneling on. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, looking at relationships between people on day one is kind of sketchy on 4 Mafia because, like, you don't know what the flip is yet. So, I mean, you might want to note it down and go back to it, but can't really draw anything from it until they flip.
Connections in 4 Mafia are much harder to draw, I would say.
Until they flip, I think. Once people flip, I feel like it's...
Yeah, once
it's really
people
easy.
flip, you always want to go back and see who that person was talking to, not talking to, avoiding.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's true, but, like, I don't know.
So an issue with busing is that late in the game, Mafia can bust their teammates as much as they want, especially if it's in a Lilo situation. Because if the town is in Lilo and say there's 2 or 3 Mafia alive, you only need to survive one more lynch. So you can bust all you want as long as you survive or as long as one of your teammates survive. So busing can happen, and it's definitely like something that you should almost not consider. It's just like, oh, maybe he's busing, or maybe he's not busing. Argument doesn't mean anything. On day one, though, why would you want to bus ever? Like, you're not in a situation to carry that all the way through to the end. And eventually, like, it'll catch up to you. And another main thing is that, like, town credibility is a very, very fickle thing. Like, people, you know, hey, I'm a cop, I got a red check. You lynch him, and then it's just like, oh, you're lying the next day, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that, like, a lot of people, if they put you in their town circle, have a hard time changing their minds.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, that's signs of maybe a little bit of a weaker player. But, like, if you do something that's really, really town, like lynching a Mafia early on, especially in bigger games, like this game is probably not the place you want to do it, but, like, if somebody puts you in their town circle early on, then you're probably, like, it's going to be much harder to move out of that than, I don't know.
That's true, too. But on the other hand, I would say if you're going to bust day one, you definitely want to do it in a smaller game because the game will be over sooner. In a large game, it's very hard to hold on to that credibility through the whole game. And there's only so much you could say of just like, I got a Mafia lynch day one.
Like, I guess I come from a perspective of, like, you kind of have a little different perspective because you, especially in forum, can, like, really push a day one lynch, right? Like, if you want someone to be killed this game, you probably could get it done. Whereas, like, when I go into forum games, like, I can maybe get it done if I really, really, really try. But, like, it would take, like, 1,000 times the effort that I'm probably willing to put in. And if I'm just busting a teammate, I can use that on day 3 and 4 instead of and not actually have them get lynched.
Right. But I mean, like that's assuming a lot of things, right? You said I could get anyone lynched day 1 if I wanted to, right? That's
Not anyone. You could get somebody lynched. I mean,
Possibly.
especially the town.
Possibly. I have failed a lot.
Well,
But I will.
not your
There's always some way to improve. But I will say, like, from my experience of busting my teammates day 1, it works out less frequently than you would like it to. Late in the game, though, bust all you want. If you're in Lilo, dude, bust the hell out of your teammates and just ride it to victory.
But yeah, you also have the perspective of if you're alive past day 3, what the hell is going on?
That's true. Usually means I'm wrong about something. Alright, so responding, Prometha Lax, Mr. Suspicious. So he kind of has this, like, I don't want to say trolly, but, like, lighthearted attitude. He had it in his above post as well. I don't know what that means for him, because I'm not used to playing with him, but it's something we can keep in mind when I look up his history later, to see if he kind of says stuff like these that are just like, that's a lighthearted and fun thing to say.
Nonchalant afterthoughts.
Yeah. Because if he's Mafia, then this is like a forced, like he's trying to do it on purpose. If his town play never has things like that. Alright, so let me read this. More lighthearted, fun stuff. Okay, so I think this is a strange post to call out, though I guess I could kind of see his point if he is town. So I don't think this, like, especially this part, it doesn't really say anything, but I wouldn't, like, say that it screams he's Mafia. As Matt Chu was saying earlier, these are easy questions to respond to, right? I know this was made by way of Shadow, but he's still responding to these questions, and these are just easy things to say, but not terribly indicative. So Viceroy's here said, pressure won't mean anything to Sandroba. He'll either play or he won't. That's definitely true. Sandroba has a bad history of inactivity in games, as both alignments. Probably a true statement, but you never know. VE knows how to say things. Sure, this post doesn't say things.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm slightly disturbed by this, but the reason I'm disturbed is says when the fluff is removed, but there's not really any fluff here. That's what I'm disturbed. And he even admits that. He says we should let Sandroba do his own thing because no matter what, he may or may not catch film. That's his entire post.
Yeah, but the way I read that was like, it's pretty straightforward of what it's trying to say. I don't know what the fluff, like where the fluff is. It's just maybe like the way Mr. Eyes talks or like.
Right, but I mean, like, this post doesn't, knowing Viceroy Eyes, this doesn't really say any, like, this isn't abnormal for him. I don't think it reads town or Mafia. It's very neutral.
Yeah, that's like, that was my question, is I don't see the fluff, and maybe that's something like through these players.
Right. But I mean, he might see fluff. I could kind of see where he's coming from. In that maybe you could say, well, like, oh, he could have just said this one sentence and posted, and that would have been fine.
It's really, really stupid of him to say, though, because, like, in his last 2 or 3, I don't remember how many posts it was, but he made that big post that was just completely fluffy. There was nothing besides lynch lurkers, let's be nice to each other, lynch lurkers.
Yeah, he's the one posting fluff. Counter question. So this is, I kind of like this question actually. I get a town vibe from it, though it's probably more neutral. And that's probably just because like my reads are the same. That like, what is Wave of Shadow doing? You know, Matt, you earlier brought up like this feels like two mafia talking to each other, right? And I could kind of see where he's coming from, though we can't be sure. So I think
Quick
maybe
question: Are mafia allowed to play with each other or like talk to each other?
Yes, so mafia have their own quick topic, and they're allowed to talk to each other as much as they want.
That's sick.
So that also like goes along with what I said. Like mafia won't ever interact with each other on day one because there's no need to. There's you got in this game you got 8 other players to interact with. Just ignore your mafia members.
And they're interacting with each other anyway. Just elsewhere.
Yeah. So I mean that makes me nervous. I want to say they're both mafia, but games are never that easy, unfortunately.
Can you go back to the Wave of Shadows post, or this VE's post, I think?
Yes.
Up one?
This one?
Yeah, I think so. Basically, I think in the post that he's quoting, we basically wrote it off as like, I mean, we said, like, we tried to read it and we were like, oh, we forgot. So what VE is saying is Prom pointed out something that he said, VE said, instead of what Wave of Shadow said, even though they said the same thing, that Sandra was not going to reply to pressure. So I kind of see where Promethylax is coming from, or would make that mistake in quoting VE and not Wave of Shadows, because Wave of Shadows was fluffy and we kind of forgot what he said,
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I did not think of that. So, yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind. But I think it's a good question for our Visera Eyes to ask. So, don't really have much to go about Visera Eyes at this point, but may come back later. More fluff. I mean, he's quoting things, but not really saying anything about them.
I'm always fine lynching VE.
A lot of people are fine with that plan. Okay, so here's the easy to answer questions. More bringing attention to the fact that his first post was awful. You haven't given us any. Thank you.
Wait, what was Prom's first post? Wasn't he the one that talked about like raw experience and stuff?
Yes, it's this one.
And then
the policy lynching one.
And then
Lynch
scroll down.
lurkers, we're all good players. Oh, by the way, this post is bad and I know it, but I made it anyways.
Yeah, but then he says in his post later down there, the one you were just on.
Yes.
About the fluff.
We're newbies together, like.
This is so they first played together in a newbie game on TL.
Okay, I got it. I misread.
Yeah, in newbies, so in a newbie game.
I see what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck is that post by VE?
That is VE being VE. For those who are not familiar with VE, VE.
Sounds like classic story, too.
Almost, yeah. Only a stone's throw away.
Only a stone.
So this post is better. Like, at least he's saying what he thinks. Get him in. Trolley trying to get posts. Attempts to get books on Sandra. So I'm writing that down because he's doing it a lot. So as I said before, like someone who keeps up the trolley attitude but doesn't try to push or do anything towny might be Mafia. So I'm making a note of that. I expect Kidman to have a more serious attitude than that, but I haven't played in a while, but that's what I expect. So definitely I will keep that in mind. So Happa doesn't like VE either. I guess I'm the only one that kind of likes him.
I like VE.
I like VE so far too. I mean, he's being VE, so kind of need to wait a while before you can. So this guy still hasn't said anything. That's like his third post.
I have a question.
So,
Yes.
You were talking about Kitterman being trolly,
Yeah.
and you said he hasn't, or you haven't played him yet, blah, blah, blah. But I think a lot of players in this game haven't actually played for Mafia in a while. Like
That's true.
Kitterman, I don't think he's played in a while. Apple Holly, I haven't seen him in the game. So do you feel like being trolly is kind of weird from them since they haven't played in a while? They would want to get right into it instead of going straight for trolling how Kitterman is doing.
It depends how much
Whatever
he's
player was
trolling.
doing in the beginning.
I'm making note of it because this is like the 4th time he's done it or so. So, like, if he continues it up, I'm definitely going to be suspicious. Like, I expect that at some point he's going to get into super serious mode and just be like, no, guys, we're lynching him. Vote for him now. No questions. And if he doesn't, then that's suspicious. Because it's just like, if he doesn't do that, then, like, he's not accomplishing anything, right? He thinks he's Mafia, but he's not hard pushing it. If he was down, he'd be hard pushing it. He's just going to be trolly. Because, like, if you're trolly, people aren't going to listen to you. How many times do you get into Liquid Cheth when he plays Mafia? Never, right? Exactly. I love you.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
And this is kind of a general question. How do you find you deal with people that it's possible in 4 Mafia to just not read your role PM?
Wait. What?
So one of the strategies is to just not read your role PM until
till night 1 or
like
something.
night 1 or whenever.
Yeah.
And if you're Mafia, like you don't even know who your teammates are or that you're Mafia, so you just play as Vanilla Town until then.
Yep.
Do you find that scary at all with for Mafia?
I kind of find it a little dumb, to be honest. Because, like...
Yeah, you just put yourself in a bad position if you, like, accidentally accuse your scum mates. Like, you have to stick
Well, that's
with
not
that.
about it. It's more about, like, on day 1 for your Mafia team, that's when you're talking to your Mafia members the most, right? Because, like, you're getting on the same page, you're establishing plans, you're discussing with each other. It's just like, that's when everyone passes around their Skype and name info, and all these group chats are started, and you're just, like, talking constantly, right? It's just like, it's very important to be communicating with your Mafia team. Because a Mafia team that doesn't communicate never wins. Or hardly ever wins. So, like, I understand the strategy. I know people have done it, like Farrah has done it in the game before.
Even in this setup where it's all Vanilla Town and there's no cop or whatever, you think it's still important for Mafia to communicate?
Oh, definitely. Like, Mafia communication is one of, like, the key success to being Mafia. Like, most games where the Mafia won, it's because they were always talking to each other. And so, like, in the quick topic or in their Skype chat, they're just, like, constantly talking, like, day in and day out. Because when you're talking to each other, you're telling each other your thoughts, and then you're becoming on the same page, and then you're making plans with each other. So, like, spoiler alert, in the Game of Champions Mafia game, like, Mango and I were on the same Mafia team, and, like, the rest of our Mafia team was inactive, but, like, him and I were just, like, talking for hours a day on end, and, like, it was really good, because, like, we made good plans and, like, got things done, even though we only had 2 of us there to do it. But
Did you win?
Yeah.
eventually, but we both got lynched along the way.
Team effort.
But yes, Mafia communication is very important. So, oh yeah, I was going to mention this. So, like, I'm sitting here taking notes as Town, right? When I'm Mafia, I don't take notes like this. I post my notes essentially in the Mafia quick topic or in the Skype chat or wherever we're talking on IRC maybe. It's just like, there's no need to take notes. Just tell your team that. Whoever's typing is a little loud. Thank you.
Thought I mean.
No problem. I kind of like this post, so he's trying to generate discussion. I mean, Half a Holly haven't seen anything like Super Town or Super Mafia from him, but it seems like he's trying to generate discussion, so...
He's Super Town.
Seems to be generating town discussion. Absent, hasn't posted anything. Awful first post. Hasn't accomplished anything. Odd first post, but MIA. Maybe Town. I think he's Town, but could be Mafia. Haven't heard from him yet. Seems to be generating Town discussion. Probably Town. Could be either way. Bad Mafia. So, already, notes helpful. Notes are... I'm getting to see these guys are Town, these guys are Mafia. I don't take very detailed notes, as you see, but it's a good thing to do. Helps keep your mind organized. It's definitely a true fact.
Why does he care if he votes for him, though?
That's a good point. I think this is more of like he's trying to be funny than anything. I don't think he's being serious. Like, I'm not going to vote for him because he's scummy. If he's down and thinks he's scummy, you would know. We'd probably know about it. So we noticed this earlier. If you remember Marvelocity's first post, he was just like, how do you talk or generate discussion on day one in an all vanilla setup? And we were like, that's a strange thing to say because he knows better than that.
Isn't it also part of Marv's meta, though? Like, he does very, very little at the beginning of the first day, and then he ramps up hard after at least a day or whatever.
I've never seen him do that. Usually when I see him play, he's very active posting day one. But I mean, if he's done that recently, maybe. I mean, it depends on what his plan is. Different strategies, you know.
Yeah, in that game, he was planning to run for mayor, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then you want to be posting a lot if you're running for mayor. Because no lurker or semi-lurker gets voted, or voted into being a mayor. So it's good that he points it out. It's bad that he doesn't really do anything about it. If he does something about it later, it's good for him. Talent thing to do. He just brings it up, doesn't do anything. Mafia. Though, at the moment, I think Kidman's Town. Let's see how that develops. Nothing there. Oh, okay. So this is Wave of Shadow. So I'm rereading half all these posts just to remember what it's going on here. The date thing. Very little, if any, indication all they can base people's play in forum games and how they play on TS. That is a false statement. That's okay.
Maybe just a wrong statement.
I think a lot of people have that opinion, actually. That you can't draw any conclusions off of
I know.
meta anyways.
And that's why they're bad.
Yeah, I disagree with that, too.
Yeah, wrong opinion.
I mean, it's fine that I see why people would have that opinion. So it doesn't say anything.
Exactly.
So.
I think one of the strongest points with that is that like a lot of the TeamSpeak games, or at least when I've gotten on with them, are very, very small games of like 7 to 9 people at most. And like they're basically like instantly in Lilo, right? And so like it's like just a completely different dynamic to the game. And like I know that like Moxta played a bunch of games on TeamSpeak with me and thought that I was like this huge logical like figure it out player, because like when you're playing with 5 players, like you have to do that, right? And like then we got into a game and he's like, why aren't you figuring everything out? It's like, well, because I don't have time to do that. So I don't know. I do notice the difference between TeamSpeak, Mafia, and Forum.
Do you think it's weird the Wave of Shadows is essentially calling himself bad at Forum Mafia, like while he's playing Forum Mafia?
Yes, I do. That was a good point. I was going to bring that up. Thank you for that. So, yeah.
Get wrecked, Wave of Shadows.
Did you say that describes my Forum Mafia play? I don't think I've ever played any game with Wave of Shadow, but I think he is a pretty good, like, Mafia hunter. From what
He's beast.
Is he? Okay. Like
from what I've heard of him, he's like he's good at it, but he also is like really wishy-washy on his opinion of himself. Like, he thinks he's a beast Forum Mafia player 1 second, and the next second he's like, well, I'm not that good, and blah, blah, blah. He just does a lot of that stuff.
Okay. But yeah, so I guess that's definitely a strange thing to bring up. Caution meta ahead. Oh boy, this is gonna be great. Mars we could stay as day one. He's the anti-Palmer, maybe. Palmer is another player who's quite a character.
Palmer is a beast.
His early game is objectively scunny. Independent votes fan. So I like what he says here, and the reason I like it is because it's very affirmative and direct. It's just like his early game is objectively scummy, right? That's actually what he thinks. It's just like he is Mafia. I think he's Mafia. We should kill him, right? There's no way I'd lynch VE on his voice medal alone. So like that's one thing that townies do. Townies always voice their opinions. They say this is what I think, and that's the way it is. Well, Mafia like they try to be more hesitant and wishy-washy, more like a politician. They want you to. They want to imply something in you to fill in the gaps. So yeah, Hoppa Holly definitely feels like a town here. Don't say I agree with what his reads or anything, but I mean that's an important point. Like many people are just like, oh, you're wrong, so you must be Mafia, right? People do that all the time.
Yup.
Kush.
Yeah, there you go.
What, Cushmaster 420?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or old.
He's an animal.
I probably shouldn't be saying this on stream, but Visera Eyes, he started playing a long time ago. When he first started playing, after he played like 10 games or so, we were in like some Mafia meeting, a bunch of like the higher ups, like me, Ver, Ace, and like some other people. And we unanimously came to the decision that Visera Eyes was the worst Mafia player on the forum.
Then he plays the most.
Then he played a bunch and got better. What was that?
I said he plays the most now.
Yes, he has played the most games out of anyone now. He got
He
better.
probably had the best game of anyone ever.
Really?
Yeah.
What game?
The Palmer game where there was an fuck, what was it called?
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
He was a serial killer.
Yeah. I remember.
Day one calls out every single Mafia with
Yep.
like really sound logic
I remember
and wins the game.
Yep.
A serial killer?
Party. Yep.
Yep. I remember that.
How do you? That's crazy. Anyways.
So he was a beast.
He
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah. Day one, 4 out of 4 Mafia. It's like, wow, teach me. More trolley attitude. That's weird, but okay. I just say it's weird because I have the totally opposite read. Like I said, like he's a logical player, so if I disagree with his reads, there might be something up. But okay, that didn't really say that much. Okay. Yeah, it feels like a town defense. Very direct. Sooner we could get away from this random voter shit. Has Hoppa Holly voted?
I think he voted VE.
Okay. Oh, he actually thinks he's Mafia. Okay, that's fine.
So how does lynching
Oh,
work?
what happened was he VE voted him or something like that, and he voted him back, and he was like,
Mm.
"Yeah, I think this is a good vote." After stuff happened.
That's right. So that's okay. That's an okay thing to say for him. CS actually voting for someone who thinks he's Mafia. What were you saying? CS Angels?
Oh, I was just wondering how like lynching people works in this format.
So it's probably end of the day. Oh, I don't know actually.
Plurality.
Is it plurality?
Yeah, it's
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Plurality. So at the end of the day, whoever
Plurality.
has
Right there.
the most votes gets lynched. Different
Let's all
from
say it together. Plurality.
plurality. Easy word to say.
Hey, Templayer. Remember when I read your first post and called you scum?
Yeah.
Has Holy Flare post yet?
Nope.
Nope.
He's someone I'm looking out for.
He's the Scooby-Doo guy.
Austin MC has posted like 3 times, but I don't remember any of them. It's usually a bad sign. But they were all one-liners, so.
That's
2 of them
probably
were about dinner or date or something like that.
Was that him?
He like added on top of it. Yeah, it was a joke between other people, but he added on it for no reason.
Oh, first person to call out Wave, who we think is Mafia as well. Find very few. That's a true statement. Instant response. Clearly he's paying attention to the thread.
Does that ever mean anything?
What?
Does that ever mean anything if somebody's like really watching the thread? Or?
I was just about to say that. So if you have a Mafia who's lurking around, chances are if you call them out, they'll respond instantly. Because like Mafia are always reading their thread because they're like watching to see if anyone ever talks about them, right?
Gotcha.
And so like I've had it where games where it's just like there's a lurker Mafia and I think it's Mafia, and every time I bring up his name, like he responds instantly. But if I don't bring up his name, he's just suspiciously absent. But that's like a long-term thing. You need a few days to see, like, oh, clearly whenever we talk about him, he's here. Or we not. It's in Live Mafia, on Esports Mafia, that's how Alan does it. If he's town, he will insert himself into conversation whenever he wants. If he's Mafia, he will never talk unless you say his name.
There's someone in here that does that too.
Oh.
Ooh.
Does his name begin with a F and end with an ill?
No.
I was gonna say it starts with a
No, not you.
Ends with Emplar.
No, it starts with a C and ends in Angels.
Ah, interesting.
Angels is
I
pretty
don't do
active.
that.
I think he's pretty active.
As Mafia?
Oh, never mind. Yeah.
I do that as
You're active
do that.
lurker as Mafia.
No, people just don't remember me talking, which is a different problem that I probably should work on.
It's not remember. It's that people like Matt who are really loud.
Also good point.
Not necessarily in a bad way, just in a hilarious.
So like Phil, I thought this was like Shadow Mafia, not like Bash Matthew for like an hour and a half.
It's actually like your roast. We didn't
This
tell
is the
you.
roasted. I can live with that.
I'd actually. Well, I know that would actually. The feelings would be hurt. Certain people could be roasted on Daily Mafia, and we could have some fun with it.
Oh God, I wouldn't be allowed to say anything because
That's
I would
exactly
actually
it.
hurt feelings.
See, like certain people, like I would totally be down for me being roasted. I think you probably
Yeah.
would be, but it's like, so yeah, I feel like certain people, there's no way, no words coming out. Oh, you're just sort of scrolling through the small stuff here.
He's
Oh,
down.
change.
Oh, it's going backwards. Sorry, I didn't see.
This is his filter.
Yeah, sorry. I thought Vicer Eyes was still voting for Hoppa, so I was confused by that. So it feels like a town post, calling out VE, not suspicious of Wave. Kinnaman's voting for VE. I find that kind of strange, but I'm...
Yeah, didn't he just talk about how he wanted to get a bandwagon on Wave started?
Yeah.
You could always,
Hoppa
try
shut
to
it
play
down,
off
and
like
he's
a
just
full-
like, okay, I'll vote by E. He may just be trying to get it some information. Could be Mafia. I feel like he's town, but I'm not ready to stake my life on it yet.
Does everybody need to vote for the data pass?
Day is timed, so it's 48 hours long.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 real life days, and then night is 24 hours.
And anytime you're making an action like related to the mod, I assume it's the double pound sign.
Yeah.
See, not a hashtag. Not a hashtag.
And
That
voting's
doesn't say
mandatory.
anything. Yeah.
Sometimes,
Voting's usually mandatory, not always.
it's kind of silly if it isn't.
Still
Yeah,
feels like
depends if
town,
you're-
but not ready to stake my life on it yet.
Have you posted yet?
Nope. This is the first time I'm looking at the thread. Last page. I know what I'm going to post, though.
YOLO, hashtag YOLO.
I think you should just plug dailymafia.com with every single one of your posts.
Could do that.
Don't do
Just
that.
the first
because of-
post. Just the first post.
Check out this Twitch account to see some fun some of you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Check out
That's
this
what I was gonna say. It starts by giving both of our alignments.
So people being defensive, is that like indicative of anything usually, or?
Nope, definitely not.
Unless that's all they're doing.
Gotcha.
I guess if it's all they're doing, then yeah. If they're not like trying to get Mafia lynched, then definitely be suspicious.
What about if they're like trying to post stuff and then they have to be defensive because they keep being put up for lynch like 3 days in a row?
Well, I mean, like, it's
Why
fine
does
to
it
be
sound so
defensive.
personal?
They're trying to post and then they keep getting cut off.
This has never happened between me and Bala before, I swear.
Okay. This guy still feels pretty town. Probably the only person I'd stake my life on being town.
Who, Happa?
Yeah.
I'd stake it on VE too.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to commit to that yet.
Now,
I'd
your
be
life, Matt.
What?
Are we talking about real life or Mafia
I
life?
think lots of people have learned the hard way not to stake anything on VE, so unless he's a serial killer.
Didn't he get elected as mayor of serial killer recently?
Oh God.
Did he that game? I don't
He
remember.
did two,
No,
I
that's
think it
not
was
the game
two
that
mayor
that's not
years
the
ago.
game that I was talking about. But I think he did in a different game.
Yeah, it was two of the mayor.
Oh no, wasn't he wasn't a serial killer? He was in Lovers or whatever, where you had to kill the other guy.
That's
Well,
not-
I'm thinking of the game. He was definitely a serial killer.
Oh, okay.
Well, Happa, just dropping the quote bombs here.
Yeah, so I mean, like, they're just kind of like arguing to each other. I don't really. I'm not even
Is
reading
this-
it that closely. It feels like two townies arguing, but
I was gonna say, is this two-tone fighting?
probably. But I mean, like,
Brian would lynch the shit out of you right now.
I know.
it's just
that's
like.
why I said it.
Wait, who? I don't.
Sorry, Brian from Daily Mafia.
He hates that term, doesn't he?
Yeah, he hates people. I think it also feels like two towns fighting because no one is really willing to like, step into it.
That's a good point as well.
What do you mean? Step
Also,
into-
like, they both seem to
nobody's
be.
trying to post about it.
They
Like,
both,
sorry, I was gonna say the Mafia, when they see two town fighting, are usually just gonna let that shit happen because that's really good for them. Because then they can do the whole, oh, there's definitely one Mafia between these two.
And I believe this
And then
guy
they
instead
can
of this
also
guy.
like split up between
And then it's really easy to pick a side, really easy to look like you're giving opinions. Like,
easy to split the mafia up
Is-
like between
is
both
there-
sides.
KP in this?
Mafia have one
Is it
KP.
just one?
Just one. Another reason is just like they feel like they're both saying reasonable things. Like, oh, this looks like what he really thinks. This looks what he really thinks. This kind of looks like he really thinks. So don't read that much into it. If it becomes like if one of them are getting voted on later, like definitely like come back and read it. But it feels like two townies don't need to look too much into it. So this is a non-trolley post for Kidman, which is good. That's long.
What if it's a long troll post as your first post? Does that ever read scummy?
Usually not.
Yeah.
No,
Mafia
dude, I
never
think
put that
that's-
much effort into
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
I'd lunch somebody who did that though.
I'd understand wanting to lynch them though for doing that,
Absolutely.
but like Mafia don't put in that much effort. Like,
It was like somebody telling me why nobody, why cars aren't stolen in the Pacific Northwest. It's because it's raining all the time and no criminal wants to go on the raid to steal a car.
So Phil, if
Yes.
you made a post about finding the ghosts and goblins, aka the mafia, and
Yeah.
how you're Scooby Doo and you and your team are gonna find them,
Oh, I just linked that game.
Yeah, probably.
Would you think that's a good post?
You should do the doggy.
You have to be accomplishing something with it, though, which is a difficult thing to do. Like, I liked what Artanis was doing that game, but I don't think he executed it very well.
Wag your tail. Bark.
Where does the game start?
On
I
page 11.
don't know. Like,
Okay.
So I'm going to call out... this.
wait, was that the end of the thread, really?
Yeah, that's the end of the thread.
I swear,
Oh,
holy
wow.
fuck.
That first post initially. He's completely right, but no, I'm just kidding.
So I'm going to call out Wave of Shadow here. And the reason I'm doing that is because nobody else, he's been mentioned a few times, and I think he's Mafia.
What about the people who haven't really spoken yet? Is that suspicious, or?
I give people time to make something. It's been, what, 7 hours, 8 hours?
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's not that late.
Nothing. Nothing. So it's just like MIA, MIA, MIA.
I think they're all UK.
So tomorrow when we come in, we could reanalyze. It's just like, awful guy, would lynch. Probably not lynch. Not lynch. Definitely not lynch. Would lynch.
I feel like you learn a lot after the first night as well.
Oh, definitely.
Just the death. Like, the death opens up so many.
Foolishness learns who the whole entire Mafia team is because they killed him that night.
Very
So
possible.
not this game because we haven't been posting at all.
Yeah, maybe you should just lurk the whole time.
Nah, I'm not going to do that. So I want to call out Wave of Shadow to see what happens with this. And so the reason I'm doing that is because, like, obviously people in this game respect me and want to see what I do. So I'm going to see, so I want to do this in a way that makes people, so I can see how people think of what I'm doing. So I want to bring something new, so I'm going to call out Wave of Shadow. But I'm also going to do it in a way that leaves it open to interpretation. So the Mafia don't know what I'm trying to accomplish with my objective here.
Typing.
Someone's typing.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely
So,
gonna vote him.
do you think there could be repercussions on that though, where town could find your post scummy because?
Yes, but I have reasons for wanting to do it. I know why Wave of Shadow is, so I will follow up with it, which is the important part. But I want to see how people react to it. Like, if someone calls me out for being a troll and like wants to kill me, it's probably may or may not be. Well, I guess that doesn't really say anything. But I also want to see if people jump on it.
That's what I'm saying. Are you just gonna post vote Wave of Shadow and that's it?
No, I'm not. I'm debating what I want to do with it. I'm debating whether I want to quote him or not. Usually it's good to quote.
I think you should just quote and not actually put any of your own words in.
Quote, whelp. That's it. And then just
Bold.
and then post.
Alex.
Well, GG.
You might as well just post that.
I'd rather do it in a way that accomplishes more. My plan this game is to be clear and concise and to post my thoughts and bring up information. So, I'm gonna do
Can the plan include have a little fun?
not this game.
Fun. This is fun, Nachi.
This is true. As long as Connie's here, it's all fun.
Thanks, man.
I don't want to say hashtag got him, but it's probably too trolly.
Double hashtag got him.
Double hashtag got
Get
him.
wrecked.
And then bolded as well.
No, you know what you gotta do? You gotta do double hashtag dailymafia.com.
Daily Mafia.
How did he get so good? Doctors hate him. Whatever that thing is.
I mean, how did he get his penis so big?
Yeah. Always preview your file stuff Team Liquid. That's one thing I learned.
Always what?
Preview
Phil, this
your
is
file-
about as
preview
subtle
your
as a bull in a china shop. I don't know what the hell you think you're accomplishing with this, but what?
Well, he's trying to get that initial reaction, I think, and then he's gonna like bring up a lot more elements after.
Right. So the reason why I'm doing this is, one, I'm bringing new information to the table. No one said anything about Wave of Shadow, really, or his first post. So I can definitely follow it up. And I have his other post to go on, too. But yes, I do want to see how people respond to this. And one way to do this is by quoting his post and just, like, implying something here without actually implying something. So the important thing is as long as I follow up, this will be fine. But so think about it from all perspectives. If you're a town and you're reading this, then your immediate thought is like, oh, there's something in here that says Wave of Shadow is Mafia, right? Because this guy apparently finds Mafia just as easily as he finds some metaphor I can't think of right now. Not as easy as he finds metaphors.
Just pun.
Like white on rice.
Yes, there, sure. Go for that.
A needle
And
and a
then,
needle.
also, if he is Mafia, then I didn't want to directly just call him out and make a case yet. I will definitely do that. Probably tomorrow or perhaps later tonight if anyone responds. Not likely, though. Because I want to leave it... I don't want the Mafia to know what my intention is here. If you're Wave of Shadow and you're Mafia, you could read this and just think, like, oh, he's just trolling, LOL. Or he could think, like, oh my god, he's on to me. Fuck, what do I do, right? So I want to see
leaving that doubt. Okay.
What?
But like leaving that doubt in Mafia's mind.
Right, exactly. So I'm leaving the doubt in the Mafia's mind. I'm not showing my hand yet, but
yeah, people with perfect information actually like look at this way more than somebody who's like town.
Right,
If
exactly.
he's down, how does he respond to that? Like,
Probably doesn't. If you're town and you just get random voted on by someone who hasn't posted anything, what's your initial reaction? LOL.
Oh well.
The fuck?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, yeah, I mean, if he came in and was just like,
If he gives you a one-word answer,
like, that's probably a town. Like, that's a town way to respond to it. Like, yeah, that is.
You know you're not allowed to have two accounts on Team Liquid.
That's illegal to do in a Mafia game. But like, if he comes in and says, "Why do you think I'm Mafia?" or "Why are you voting for me?" That's suspicious. Like, because he's trying to figure out what my intentions are, right? He's just trying to get me to reveal my hand.
You've activated my trap.
My trap card.
Activated my trap card.
What do you think the best town environment is?
Best town environment is one where there's no chaos, and chaos can mean a lot of different things.
So is
But
it
essentially-
best to have like just a bunch of people always having conversation?
hey, Phil, you might want to check. Yeah, he posted.
Oh yeah, he did post, but he didn't respond, did he?
He did actually. Then
Strongest town read, okay. 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 It's fine.
well,
Welcome to the game, foolishness. I love reading things out loud.
well.
Well, man. Well, it's where it's at.
Wait.
Boom. Headshot.
this is clear and concise. You're deviating from the plan.
I am. I'm asking him a direct question.
You should have just said no. Instead of one of those weights, one of them should have been a whelp. Like, I think
Brings
that's
up
my
a good point. You
I
By the
think
way,
those
that's-
should have been whelps.
I don't think but has it been mentioned you can't edit your posts?
No. But yes. So in on Team Liquid or in most farm games, you're not allowed to edit your posts at all. So whatever you say sticks in the thread forever.
Don't fuck up.
Yep. Don't mess up. And that's also a slight thing too. So like, one thing I like to tell people is that when a town makes a post, they write something and then they hit the post button. But when a Mafia makes a post, they write something and they don't hit post. They go back and correct it.
You just hit post.
Yo, seriously though, find town,
If he hit post, that would have been hilarious.
the easiest way to find town sometimes is just seeing who has the most spelling errors.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah, but what if I always try and write cohesively as much
Yeah.
as possible. I
Well,
don't.
that just
Yeah,
means you're
like-
null.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
I'm
just
not-
Then
want-
I'm I'm
but
always
it's like-
down then because
so
most
it's
posting
not
always
it's
has
not
no
just
spelling
about typing errors. It's also about like grammatical things. Like you could tell like if someone's speaking and it's just like they typed it out and hit post. You could tell.
So if
Stream
I
of
if I,
thought.
Even if their spelling it is perfect.
so
I
if I
mean,
type, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, it's a legitimate way to read town, but it's not a
It's legitimate reach.
You're lagging.
Lagging.
Your robot.
I think I know what he's trying to say. It's a legitimate way to read town, but not a legitimate way to read Mafia.
But like, what if I like
Yes
type
or
like
no?
IX Mike or Arteezy? Like, you know, you just.
I mean, this works more for like semi-long posts that are like
Yes.
4 lines where someone's responding to someone.
Okay, interesting.
Ooh, he posted. He posted.
Thank you. I am opening this tab up so I could actually do some research on Wave of Shadow briefly before we end for tonight.
Because I'm responding to you, having just entered the game and being polite. If you're not going to provide reasoning
This
for
is
your
so
vote,
exciting.
I have no way to reason. Or wait, no way or reason to
It's kind of a
discuss it.
strange thing to say. I think on its own it doesn't say anything. It feels strange. I'm not going to respond to that anymore. I'm just going to spend the rest of our time like looking at his past history to see if.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the kind of guy that's got to get that last word in. So I'm always like, stupid pun that makes no sense. Deal with it.
My plan is to be clear and concise this game.
Yes.
In normal circumstances, I would respond to that with something like "Well," but I won't for now. I'll wait to see if any. I do want to see what else people say. Like I want to see what Kidderman and VE have to say to this interaction. It
By the
should
way,
get
there's an
those-
open newbie game that I have just joined. And I
That's
don't know
right.
how newbie all you guys are, but
So, Bala, I'm not sure if you're familiar with how to go about looking up people's history. You go to the search bar, you press enter, forum, go to TL Mafia, and put in the person's name and hit content only.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I usually just click on their profile and went through their posts.
Oh, okay. That works too, sure. This is the way I'm used to doing it.
what if I'm an active contributor in Dota 2 strategy?
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, exactly. So this one you could
No.
filter it.
But actually, it is kind of relevant, like,
I
to
think
look at their posting history outside of the game. Because if they're posting on a separate forum, but not posting in the game,
Yeah, that's true too. You could find that out.
Hmm. Is that OGI technically, or
Connie, you want me to play in your
No.
newbie game?
I don't know how newbie are you? I'm legit nothing.
That game got restarted because the mod fucked up, so I'm trying to see what games Wave of Shadow has played in. I thought he was playing in this, but he's co-host. That game got restarted because drama happened.
So he is the drama maker.
He
Left
didn't
feet.
cause the drama. Looks like he played in this game. Wave of Shadow.
that game was really fast. But, yeah.
The thread that was linked to here, the one that Templar gets called off in the first, looks like.
Hey, Store, it's your best friend Corazon.
Corazon.
He
What do you
modded
mean?
the game.
Matthew, I thought we weren't going to talk about other people on this.
We have been talking about other people this whole time.
Guys.
That's always talking about.
I was gonna ask. I thought we were only talking about that.
We're only talking about Matthew, that's right. Matthew, you're awful. You're an awful person.
So, can I play in a newbie game with Connie?
No.
Hell no.
I think I'm off the ban list.
I'm trying to play in that
On the-
game that got restarted, but it hasn't restarted yet.
So Wave of Shadow.
Yeah, I got put on the ban list because I was in a game and
Oh, he's the host.
I got really, really disinterested, unfortunately, and that caused me to get kicked and then put on the ban list.
Did you sit out again?
I sat out a game, and it looks to be over. I'm not sure how many games I have to sit out.
Yeah, I think you got banned for 2 games for that game with Matt Chu. And then you got banned for the PvP ball
No,
game?
I didn't get banned for any game with Matchu.
Oh, right,
I got
right.
a
I got
warning
rescinded.
for that.
I
It was
wasn't.
never even a ban. I got a warning for that.
Okay.
Bullshit.
But then
Yeah.
the PYP one was 1 game ban, so you're good.
Yeah, so I should be unbanned.
Don't worry, I'll just get you banned. I'll just fucking bait you.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just so unfortunate. I was so ready to play a pick your power game, and then like it was nothing like I expected, and then it wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I know
Like
this game.
the Hogwarts game was like really interesting. There's lots of different things going on. Like
That's annoying.
it was really easy to stay engaged, and then this game, there's no way to keep staying engaged. I guess I don't know. It just got really weird.
I couldn't even get started in that game.
Okay.
There was actually like 5 people that didn't even do anything day one. It was awful.
Welcome to Mafia. Okay, so I found 2 games where Wave of Shadow is Town, so I could look at those. I wasn't able to find a game where he was Mafia. I will do more thorough research later to try to find one. So this one, he's Town. So what I'm doing is I'm just sort of like half skimming through. I'm looking at like average post length and like kind of like looking at attitude for posting. I'm not reading very closely. Just looking for the kinds of things he says, like any words that stand out. Like the first thing I've just noticed here is that like, oh hi ladies, Yamato what's up. Like he has a very laid back attitude, right? And is using slang words.
Hey Phil,
Yes.
Zoom chat for a Mafia game.
Where he's Mafia?
It's the only one he has on TL.
Okay, great.
They're Mafia, that's such a sick name.
Mon Dieu,
Dang, he's only rolled Mafia once? That's so lucky.
I know, right? Both
He's
my
got,
first
he's
2
got 2
games.
third parties if you want those, but
GG Temp, like 2 out of my first.
Not
No,
you, you
my
just
first
did
2
this?
games are also Mafia.
We're unlucky.
Yeah,
I'll be
I'm so
doing the
unlucky.
high thing again. Okay.
I hope the next one's 10.
This is very, very trolly. Okay. How long ago was a year ago? More trolliness. Swearing, more swearing. Good thing to pick up. Question,
So-
question, lots of questions. Long posts, long posts. More sweariness, more swearing. Long posts, more swearing, more swearing. Alright, so let's look at the game. Sorry if the font's small. Let's make that a little
Oh, that's good.
okay, so this game he's Town. So, as I said, I'm just kind of skimming through it, just looking for if any words stick out, looking at average post length. Like, what kind of attitude does he have going into these posts? And I'm just going to like briefly compare it. This isn't a very thorough analysis, it's just something to get going. Just to like either confirm or not confirm my thoughts for this Shadow game that he is Mafia.
Is it not a priority for you right now to be replying to him?
No, I've done what I need to do. I want to see how other people reply to it. He's probably not going to say much, and I'm pretty sure if I reply, he will reply. Especially, or Conrad said he likes to get in the last word. He seems like he's going to get the last word in too. He also said he was going to bed. If he just pieces out, that would be understandable. So one thing I noticed is that, so this game he's Town, right? All his posts are like between 2 and 4 lines long. Like he talks in like that kind of paragraph length. In this game, he's Mafia. It's one-liners, same, more one-liners. But up above, he was writing paragraphs upon like long posts, very long posts. Also, when he was Mafia, he was swearing a lot, and I don't see that. As I said, this is just to get a rough guideline. It's not a thorough analysis.
I think he swears a lot as Town too.
Does he? Okay.
At least in voice he does.
Fuck this, I'm changing my vote.
What?
I just read that on one of the posts there.
We'll refresh the thread in the meantime. Hey, this game he's Town, I haven't seen him swear at all.
Go into the Champions game and see if he swears there.
Oh, that's
Because
right.
he
I should
might-
do that as well. I'll do that later.
Well,
He was
isn't
down-
that kind of different because it's like a respectable I don't
Well,
know.
this is the same thing as that. So like he might be trying to be on his best behavior because this is like an invite-only game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I don't know if I'd read into the swearing too much.
Oh, swearing. Just one is.
Swearing is it?
Oh, so he's played with Prometheus before. This game I'm looking at, he is town. He's actually a blue roll, I think. He has a power roll.
You know, you could just lynch Wave of Shadows for the lulz. If he flips Mafia, then he just dies as Mafia for the first time in,
Yeah,
day
but
one.
I want to be right.
Yeah.
He wants to play as concise and as proper as possible. Right?
That's right.
And direct and bring new things to the thread.
That's right.
Sometimes
Yo,
you just
It's
need
good to
a.
have like that mindset of just like reminding yourself what you're doing. It's very good.
You should check your inbox though.
I don't want to do that.
Not
Yeah,
proper.
click,
Right?
don't
Probably
click.
nothing related. Oh, wow, you're so nice, Matthew. Thank you.
There's something I always dislike, at least when we play like Live Mafia. It's like, oh, original content. Well, sometimes there isn't actual original content because the people actually scummy or scummy as fuck. Like, oh, you're sheeping off my reads.
The best way to sheep is just to blatantly sheep, in my
What?
opinion.
This doesn't make any sense at all. What you
You're
just said.
asking for your
I'm
What
surprised
do you
you didn't
mean?
respond to what I was saying above.
What do you mean by blatantly sheep?
Just admit that you're sheeping, maybe. Just be like, I'm sheeping this. It's great.
Maybe not.
Like
Maybe not
honestly,
saying
honesty,
like I really like this person's reads and this is why.
honesty can get you very far.
How does he come to the conclusion that you disagree with your points just because you didn't vote for him?
Because he's self-centered.
Yeah.
He didn't
That's
vote
what I
how
was gonna
he
say.
voted, so it's not.
Bad ego.
No, because he's talking about the votes on him. He has 2 votes on him.
Oh. Yeah, he just disagrees with his points because he doesn't read him as scummy.
Alright,
or
I'm a
he-
good, clear, and concise poster. You and Hoppa are 2 towns arguing with each other over nothing.
He's telling he's bringing new information to the table.
No one else has said it so far.
Policy lynch.
I don't think there was anything else down here. Yeah, that was the last post of that page.
I feel like attacking people on Forum Mafia is so much easier.
It is.
Yeah, but you also get like.
It's,
Well, it's because nobody can yell over you. So.
Yeah, you
It's
can
like,
say what you need to say. And
Rain
also,
attacked me a
What did
lot.
Say what
Oh.
you need to say.
love
Then,
giving
but then
non-
it's a flip on that too, because for Mafia, there's not the case of you didn't have time to post your opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody interrupted.
Was somebody interrupting you? Yeah.
No, but I love giving snide remarks. Perfect. He said, you gotta get that last word.
So, before I finish up for tonight, this is his filter from this game. I'm just gonna read through it again and then look at his past history, just to see if I get a feel for anything. That's all. If I can't deduce anything from him, especially on a subsequent day, it's fine. Definitely Prometheus would be a good target to go after. And there's always Sandroba. Be good to pressure him.
And Holy Flare still has to make Scooby-Doo post.
Holy Flare is still MIA. Austin MC is MIA for all intents and purposes. Marv Velocity is MIA.
Marv, Holy Flare, and Austin, I believe, are all UK.
Would MIA get policy lynch?
Yeah,
Essentially.
didn't you read Prometheus?
Yeah, I mean that's just somebody writing a post. You know what I mean? Like say you feel like you have a good scum read, but
They're pretty good at. TL's decent at policy lynching lurkers for the most part, mostly because people just want to see somebody flip at some point.
That's a good point too. Yeah, it's like having somebody who's not talking, just flip them.
No, actually, I think flipping them is not a good thing because nobody's interacted with them. So,
He said
I
he's
guess-
going to bed.
I guess it's how lurky is it. I guess that's the other thing.
yeah.
What Shadow did.
because lurk can mean said a couple words. Peace.
I think we should do some research on some good players games. Like we should research some of this Matthew kids older games and see.
Who's Matthew?
Who?
Is that Matt?
Sorry, I only know.
I don't know anyone with that name on this forum, so.
No, I don't even know anybody with that name actually.
I think we should research people from Daily Mafia.
I know somebody called Matt. Are you thinking?
Yeah, I know Mr. Kaplan, but his first name is
Mr.
Matt.
Kaplan.
I know Mr. Kaplan as well.
His first name's Matt, but I don't know what his. I don't know.
I put a bullet in my head before I let somebody call me that shit.
Dude, I'm calling you that every game now.
Mr. Cap.
Charlie.
I actually like calling. Yeah, I see. I've actually. That's like one of my favorite things, Mr. Templar or Mr. CS Angels. I love doing
Mr. Store.
And Dr. Templar.
Mr. Bob.
Mr.
Toner.
Stewart.
Yeah, exactly. You just call people Mr. Blank. That's where it's at. Or Mrs. Or Ms. Sorry. Ms. No.
Mrs. Temple.
Senor Templar.
Oh my god. Templar and Little Temp in the same game is just
Hilarious.
Rubber.
rubber.
All over Banks, dude. Banks is so mad about that.
So what are you concluding right now, Phil? From just these basic reading.
So I'm looking at, I reread his filter for this game, and looking at his filter when he's town and he's mafia. I'm not really seeing any straight up comparison to note. Just based on these filters alone, he seems more town. He doesn't seem like he's acting when he's mafia.
What kind of straight up comparisons are you looking for?
Just-
Specific wording that he uses? Or?
Just post length, any words that stick out, like swearing a lot, for example.
So you're just looking generally right now?
Yeah, just looking generally. And that's fine, I could be right, could be wrong, but just going on that. Just by this. So I'm just going to leave this up, so we'll see how other people respond to it. If
Posting of photos.
VE asked if you were scum.
I know.
Oh, okay.
And more specifically, what about posting of GIFs?
Yeah, you can post whatever.
Generally frowned upon.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, my life's over. That's all I want to do for him after is just post GIFs all day.
VE.
I played 75% of a game with only GIFs, so I don't know.
Conrad, they have weird formats where. Actually, Matt, didn't you host that game? Big Brother? Doesn't really count, though, I guess.
By host that game, do you mean signed up for host and never read a single page of it and didn't do anything? Then yeah, I totally was a co-host that game.
Alright, guys. One other thing I've noticed is that when he's Mafia, he asks a lot of questions.
Kind of questioning.
So he's actually asking a lot of questions in this game.
He is, but I guess I'm looking at his town game now, and he's also asking a lot of questions, so it doesn't mean much to me. Oh, good claim.
Is claiming, when's a good time, in other type of game types? Is claiming just sort of on a period-by-period basis, or a situational basis?
Same as in Live Mafia. When you think it's ready to claim, you claim.
What about night one claims? Is that ever, or sorry, day one claims?
Don't do it.
Even if, no red check because it's all 1 KP.
Yep.
Depending
you
on
don't have a red
format.
check, so probably don't have anything else.
Yeah, you have no information from power rolls.
Good point.
Well, it looks like he asks more questions when he's Mafia, but still not enough. We got more posts.
I mean,
so
now you got to go through each post and then actually calculate how many questions are asked.
That's fine. It's part of the
There's a
game.
cop in the game. You can do have everybody
Hashtag
claim
no
cop,
regrets.
and everybody claims their checks every day.
Interesting.
Okay. So yeah, so that's it. So I don't really have anything, just based on preliminary analysis, doesn't look like it's Mafia play, but need to look closer to more detail. But I'm not going to do that for now. We've been doing this for 2 hours, so I'm ready to call it a day. I don't really need to respond to this. It doesn't really accomplish anything. I don't know what this is about.
What is wave like?
I don't know. I don't know what it's about.
He's waving goodbye to wave.
Oh, waving to wave.
This is my guess. Just my
Oh, so many song quotes. There's gonna be so many. Oh, I can't wait to play for them.
So you don't feel the need to pressure anybody else right now?
No, not really. I still want to see how this wave of shadow things develop. If anybody else responds to it,
So you don't
I
want
did
to
look-
post anything because you
totally
don't want
would've-
anybody to skip over what he did to
I totally would have responded to VE.
I know you would have, but I'm not going to. So I still
Different
gave
players,
people
different
what I think is suspicious, so I expect someone to at least chime in with something about it. If nobody chimes in, then I will probably re-bring up said arguments against him tomorrow to see where that goes. And then default go back to Prometheus, who had that very awful first post and hasn't actually done anything. Well, I'll bring
What
it
in
up, I guess.
specific are you looking for people's responses to what you did?
So, in particular, for... So I wanted to see if he responded and how he responded. I didn't like his response here because, as I brought up, he said that he was going to ignore it, but then didn't ignore it. And I expect a town in this scenario, more often than not, a town would just like ignore it and just post this even after seeing this and just be like, oh, whatever. It's not indicative, but that's just what I expect. I also expect, since I like gave people like some clue about where I'm getting my information from, I expect someone like Kidman or someone else that does like good analysis to actually like come in, look at what I'm saying, and say something about it. It's not indicative, but if they do, then that helps me. It probably sees that they're on the same page. If nobody says anything to it, which is probably likely to happen at this point, since I got VE to spam up the thread for me, luckily, I will probably just bring up more of my posts or more arguments later on. So what I'm planning for the future is like going through everything I've noticed about Wave of Shadow and like quoting more of his posts and saying like, I don't like these posts, this is why I don't like him, I don't think he's doing anything helpful, and that he's Mafia. And then I could actually see how he responds. And like I said, I purposely did this to not reveal my whole hand. If Wave of Shadow is Mafia, he doesn't know if I'm just doing this to like troll or generate information, or if I actually really think he's Mafia.
One general question for entry posts. People in newbie games specifically, they come in and post like huge, not really huge, but list posts listing everybody in the game who has posted at that point and saying this guy's town or Mafia or whatever, and giving reasoning. But they list everybody, they lay out their entire hand. What do you think about those kind of posts?
Those posts are not very productive, and the reason is because it's very easy to do so. It's not indicative of Mafia, it probably leans slightly more Mafia, because it's really easy to do. It's really like, you know, anyone can just go to the first post, just quote this, list them all out, and just be like, this guy has done something, this guy hasn't done anything, this guy argued with somebody else. Anybody could do it, right? You're essentially, you're a news reporter, right? But you're not helping anybody. So yeah. Generally, if you're a town, you don't want to do that. You're not really accomplishing anything. And if you're Mafia, you don't want to do that because, well, one, you're not accomplishing anything for your Mafia team, but also, like, it's a really easy thing to do.
Cool.
Okay, so I will leave the thread on that note. I will keep the things that we've talked about in mind for the future. And tomorrow we are starting... What time are we starting? I know I told you.
I think we said 3.
Who's
Let me
so?
check.
3 p.m.
Yes.
EST.
Not 3 a.m.
Sometimes.
Oh no, we decided 4 to 5 Eastern time, so 4 is fine. That'd be 1 p.m. PST.
Yep, okay, so 1 p.m. PST. We will be back.
What's 1 p.m. PST?
We will be tomorrow, 1 p.m. PST. I will be doing this again, reading thread and posting, and probably doing a longer analysis on Wave of Shadow, or if not, doing it on Prometheus.
Are you going to be posting outside of these things, or?
Nope. If I do, I will definitely stream it, and I will definitely let people know, and it'll be up there.
Alrighty.
But most likely not. All right. Thank you, guys. Turn it off
Thank
the
you.
stream.
Thank you for doing this.